Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Gabrielle and I am here to help you guys navigate what's going on in the collective energies and what also I'm going through, because I feel like the way that we can learn from each other is by kind of demystifying what ascension is and actually bringing it down to the body and to actual experiences. So today I'm talking about distraction. Now, this came up for me in my last ayahuasca ceremony back in May. And I normally, and I have talked about this before, but I don't usually have shadow work that I work on when I'm in a ceremony. But the last one that I went to, I had this, the biggest purge I've ever had in my time with Madre. And it was purging all distractions in life in general. And the way it came in was just like, when you're in the medicine, at least for me, I can actually see the threads of energy and feel everything that my vessel is in some way giving energy to. And so what was happening is that it just felt like all of these different things that you don't even consciously are aware of where your energy is going. But at one moment, it just all came flooding in, and it was like the biggest purge I've ever experienced in my life. And it felt so good to get it out. And then once it was out, I had no questions. I had a void. It was like clear. There was no doubts. There was no, what's my next step on this? Or I need help with this. It was just void. And that from that place, it was then a receiving of what actually was like timed to come through to me. And that was back in May. And I knew that it came through, the lesson of clearing distractions came through for a reason. However, I had just moved, so there was a lot of things that we wanted to do to the house. And as you guys know, I had some things that came up in my family life, and then we had our wedding to plan. And it was like thing after thing after thing was like, and normal life situations were distractions. And even to bring it to like the mundane level, one of my friends that was here and went to ceremony with me said, she was watching me as we were at my house, and she goes, even like the way that you're constantly picking up things and like organizing and doing the dishes and taking care of the animals, like she was saying that she could see that those were even distractions for me, because I am a nurturer and I definitely do that. Like I have like a set routine of what I do around the house in the morning, whatever. And she brought it to my attention. Could you just let the dishes sit in the sink for until you are done working, on what you want to work on that day? And I was like, oh my God, I don't think so. So she just brought it to my attention, and it made me kind of aware that everything had become in my life a representation of distraction. So I understand that our lives, and my life is completely, I'm not completely, but it's very slowed down. Meaning like I don't go out into the world every day. I'm not interacting with a lot of people out in the third dimension. And I don't go to a external job every day. So I don't have as many distractions as most, okay? But even in my pared down world, there are distractions everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. And I just started to pay attention to them and started to like really see without judgment, more like how much time am I investing in these distractions? So the first things obviously are when you have things come up in your life that are like you could consider a distraction, like let's say planning a wedding. But it's something that is actually in your reality, and it's actually calling you to work through it. Maybe it's like in my case, moving or whatever comes up in your life. Those like actual, real, tangible, in your material world distractions that are actually your life, those are even, they feel like octaves of you deciding how do you want to tune into them? Like how much energy are you willing to give to those actual things that are actually yours to have and to hold and to work through, right? So there's that level. But then there's the distractions of our phones and social media and, like, let's say learning, because in this realm, my hunger for learning new things is huge. And I'm always like keeping an open antenna for the next thing that I'm meant to absorb. But in all of them, they all are not me in this physical moment. They're almost like these kind of, I always, again, they're like highways of threads that are out there that you're like, okay, that one looks interesting and maybe it's for me. Like discerning about it and deciding, is it for me? Okay, it's for me. So I'm going to invest my energy into that thread of information. Let's say it's a course. And then let's say that takes, 5% of your energy for that time that you're studying it. On top of that, then you're plugged into, let's say, Instagram, and you are, this is something that's become like a cultural, I guess, phenomenon right now, is something called scrolling. And really, I started paying attention when I would have these moments of where I was not connected to anything. What would I do? And I would pick up my phone and start scrolling through Instagram. And I only follow, high vibrational things. So it's not like I go down rabbit holes or the news or whatever. So even though my feed was all, spiritual and like aspirational and motivational and good vibrations, it's still me tuning my energy into something that technically isn't mine and isn't really real in my sphere of existence. So think about that. In that scrolling and that energy that you're giving away to that time that you're putting through that connection with the phone, that energy goes somewhere. Now, I would say in some cases, maybe it does go to that influencer or the person that you're tuning into and that you're reading and you're following their life. Like in the case of if you buy, a session or a course with that person. But I would say 99% of the time, that's not what's happening. You're just tuning out of your life to tune into someone else's reality. And that energy transfer is what the matrix is. It literally is, that's how you're feeding into the matrix. Like that is where the falsities and the illusions of this world are getting the energy to survive. So essentially, even if you are giving your thoughts and scrolling to high vibrational people, it's still not your reality. So it means that you're taking away, let's say it's 10% of your energy per day to something that's not even real. Like, I think I talked about this when we went to a casino a few weeks ago, and it's the same thing as being plugged into one of those slot machines, and you see this little person in this huge machine, and they're just like, fixated on it, feeding it money. It's the same thing. The phone is the same thing. That energy is being collected and used in a way against you. Now, I decided to play with this and give myself permission to not have attachment either way to how it was going to play out. But about a month ago or maybe longer, I deleted Instagram first from my phone. And I noticed okay, it feels like it's okay. I'm not missing something. It's like shifting my perspective on the time that I would spend, or the almost like nervous habit that I would just, without even thinking, go to it like a pacifier. I noticed that then, because I didn't have that app, I started looking at Facebook, which prior to deleting Instagram, I really was never on Facebook, but I still wanted that fix. So then I was looking and scrolling more through Facebook, which Facebook in my thing is more like family, friends, and people that I actually know in my life. So now instead of tuning into these people that I don't know through Instagram, which were, like I told you, more like high vibrational people, I had switched that energy to the actual people that I know, because in my Facebook, I had only friended the people that I actually know. And I started like feeding my energy to their lives. And and again, it's almost like voyeurism, because it's not like they know that I'm looking at their photos. I mean, of course you can give them a thumbs up or a heart or whatever, but again, it's just a distraction from your own existence and your own cultivation of that energy to build up inside the vessel and to actually use and harness your own energy, right? So then about 2 weeks ago, I deleted Facebook. So now I am social media free on my phone. And that has been something that it's like, again, I'm not saying forever. It's more of like, I'm kind of witnessing my reaction to it, you know? So I noticed, like, at first, right away, I would be like, okay, well, I have this free moment waiting in line doing something. Let me go see who's on, or let me see what's happening in the world, you know? And then I realized that when I didn't have that pacifier to satiate those in-between moments, I actually was more present in the moment. And I actually then could observe and absorb what actually is in my field, and being more present to what is the world bringing into my field, and can I see it and meet it with the actual me versus me that's distracted. And I then noticed that I had this craving to be back in nature. So I hadn't been, I mean, you know, now I live in nature, but I hadn't actually been out hiking. Like when I was going through my original awakening, there was this insatiable need to be out in nature every day, hiking and moving. And this energy was like absorbing from the trees and grounding and meditating. And that went away when I was asked to not stop going to the cliffs. And then even though I have spent time in nature and we live in nature, I hadn't had that that intuition to get back out in nature and move my energy through nature. But when I freed up that time that I had been spending scrolling, I realized that I have empty space now, or I have an openness, a receptiveness to something else, right? And to something that feels more aligned to not only where I am currently in my time, space, reality, but the heartbeat of Earth, like the actual frequency of where the planet currently is. And again, that's evolving every day. So it's not like once you've tuned into the frequency of Earth, you're there. No, because it's constantly moving. It feels like this kind of wave of energy that you can, like, how do I say it? Like you can move like through the tides with it. It's not a flat, once you're in, you're in. It's constantly moving. So every day now, the first thing I want to do is get out with the dogs on a hike and be in nature. And I'm talking like I've found some amazing hikes around us that are the most magical, mystical experiences, where the trees are completely covering you. You can't see where you're going, and it's like miles and miles of this. And it feels like you can get lost in this enchantment of forest. And that has felt like the most nurturing, I guess I would call it like a solve, but I've also tuned into what it actually is. And nature is this vibration that is like, you know how your animals, if you have an animal, they are the nurturing that your soul needs on a deep level. Like that connection that you have with your animal, they don't need to say a word, but the look that they can give you and the cuddle that they can give you, it says everything, and it helps you through whatever you're going through. Nature is in a way like that for us as well. It doesn't need to know what you're going through. It doesn't need to hear your mind chatter. It just is like when you bring your frequency into nature, it equals you out. It brings you back to the heartbeat of the earth. So, okay, so now I have removed the distraction of social media. And on a side note, I do still have YouTube on my phone. So I will from time to time watch a video. But again, on YouTube, I only am subscribing to channels that are high vibrational. And once in a while, the algorithm introduces you to someone else's channel. And it's, for me, if it's not high vibrational, I always put not relevant so that it stops going in my feed. But being conscious of what amount of time, again, I'm giving to that platform. So what I noticed by opening up that space of scrolling, I'm finding, again, back to the rhythm. Now that the distractions of my physical life have died down, like I don't have anything to plan, and we did all the renovations that we were going to do right now on the house, and I have like time to breathe back into the earth. And what I'm realizing is that pace is where the opening is. So yesterday, after I got back from my hike, I'm studying another course, and I was, deep in it. And I decided on my Spotify, normally I listen to this playlist that is all, actually I'm going to tell you guys what it's called. It's called 528 Hertz Miracles, and it's a playlist. And it's just a like instrumental, and there's some rain, there's some ocean. It's just very beautiful, and I always have that on the background. But yesterday I decided there's in Spotify, they do like these playlists. It's called Discover Weekly. So I was like, I'm going to see I only listen to this one channel basically. So I'm going to see what they're going to recommend. Well, what they recommended had nothing to do with what I actually listened to. I mean, there were some songs that I actually knew, and, I listened for about 4 songs. And what I realized is that my energy started to go in a downward spiral really fast, and to the point where I started to feel a depression. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I've had depression in my life in the past, so I know what it feels like. And just prior to putting on this playlist, I was feeling great. Like I had just gotten back from the hike. The dogs were taken care of. They were napping, and I could focus on what I wanted to. But all of a sudden, it was like this bottomless pit of despair started coming around me and like enveloping me. And I was like, whew. So I turned off the music, did some cleansing, and right away went right back up. So even music is something that when you are so sensitive and you have gotten yourself back realigned, and you're not investing your energy in people that you don't even know, you become very attuned to the vibration that each note, in the case of music, carries. And I realized like taking those are turning it off and going back to this 528 Hertz playlist, it started bringing me back up. So I can already see that every little nuance that you allow into your life is contributing to your frequency. Now, why do you think there are all these distractions out there? And I mean, really, if you start looking at your life from that perspective of playing the game, being the person that's playing the game, they are everywhere. They are on Amazon, they are everywhere. Everything that makes you want to leave your body and tune into something outside of yourself is a distraction. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have any distractions, and I'm not saying that it's not healthy. The point is, this like really starting to notice yourself? Do you lose yourself in the distraction? Are you trying to leave the body so that you can cope with whatever it is that you're dealing with? Because essentially, whatever the reason is that you're leaving, let's say for me, if I'm standing in line and I want to scroll Instagram to distract me from the time that I'm standing there waiting in line, why am I impatient? Why can I not just breathe into what is? Why can I not just enjoy what I'm experiencing in that moment? Like, what is it that you're trying to escape? Because what I'm finding is the way to really get to the core of you the fastest, and to, like, I feel like cut past the bullshit and the fears and the anxieties and all of it, is to look that thing that you're trying to escape straight on and breathe into it, right? Like, understanding that that's coming up in you to be seen, to be purged, to be healed. And with these energies that are coming into the planet, I feel like they're coming in a much more intense way. And it's like literally going up to the attic of your vessel and like getting the cobwebs, and it's like digging deep into the areas of you that you have long since forgotten and you don't even think exist. But they're coming up because essentially these frequencies, these lower, denser frequencies, they can't move forward, or they can't help your vessel move forward, or you can't move forward if you still are carrying on to this. And the way that it looks like is, imagine like a comet, and the comet has like this kind of spray behind it, right? Like it's behind it. I call that like a drag, like the thing that actually holds it to the atmosphere and slows it down. So the way that these kind of denser energies look to me, it's something that I call drag. And if we don't look at the drag that we're carrying behind us, you can't go anywhere, right? Like, you're carrying all of this baggage with you as you move through your experience. So do you want to add the drag of scrolling and social media and all these things to give away your energy to, when really you should be giving that energy to working on your drag? So what I'm also finding is that you cannot, like, you can have this aspiration to move forward in your frequency, and you can start training with higher vibrational frequencies, let's say through a program or a new modality. But if you're still carrying that drag behind you, it's going to be harder for you to really grasp this new forward frequency that you're trying to train with, because your caboose or your drag it's not able to even, like, the connection between the drag and the new frequency is not able to connect. So it's like you're constantly being pulled back when you're trying to go forward, and it's like you're in this kind of chaotic moment, which I think it's that chaos that makes you want to check out. So I hope you guys are grasping what I'm trying to download to you, and understanding that it's all a practice, and without having the attachment, and also looking at yourself as it's a negative. It's playing with the frequencies. It's literally like how I did, like, understanding, okay, I can see myself overdoing this. Like, I know that I should be doing something else. I don't yet know what that is, but I know that this doesn't make me feel good. Once in a while, there'll be like a funny video, or my cousin sends me recipes, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it wasn't enriching my life. So tuning into those distractions, are they enriching you, or are they a distraction? That's going to be the way that you're going to move to your next level. By leveling up, we can only level up if we remove some of the drag. So I, again, hope that this is helpful, and I hope that you all are doing well.